Say hello, Thomas. Market measures.
So I got a bunch of emails last night on our market measure segment yesterday, and people were great.
It was heavy yesterday.
No, not the heavy part. People get it. Tony, what we think sometimes heavy for people, it's not that heavy for people. And every once in a while, we got to stir it up.
Of course.
99% of the time we stick to trading. 1% of the time we stir it up. It's good. Yes. You know, people wrote to me, they said, well, hey, if this is the case, then you're basically throwing everything out the window.
Right.
If you want to sit there and say that everything's random.
All we say is the next day is 50-50.
I know.
I mean, that's
I get it. I understand. But if you want to sit there, Tom, and say everything is random and blah, 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 then the following events are also random. Mm-hmm. Okay? So then don't give me the contrarian speech. Don't give me they close this way, they're going to,
Sure.
Totally cool. We get it. Mm-hmm. What we're trying to do is to change the way everybody's been thinking all along. We're not saying that we're not trying to say this is the be-all, end-all. What we're trying to do is get people to think differently so that you think outside of some very narrow range. Like the biggest problem with investing is that the spirit of this industry and the integrity of investing is always measured against some criminal. It's always measured against some fraud.
Sure.
It's always measured against. So we kind of think that we're disadvantaged. And I just want people, for some reason, I just don't want people to think that you're disadvantaged. Mm-hmm. What was that? Do you know?
Yeah, you just filled your SLV calendar.
Oh, my SLV calendar. Okay, good. So we rolled our SLV calendar. We also sold some FXY today. One's an opening trade. One's a rolling trade.
You rolled yours. I didn't get filled.
Oh, you didn't get filled? Sorry.
You don't care.
So we just want you to understand that you're never disadvantaged. Everybody thinks like kind of buying a lottery ticket is fair, even though you have no chance of winning. You think it's fair for whatever reason because there's no fraud involved.
Right.
Good cause, whatever it is. I think the markets are actually incredibly fair. I don't care whether it's high frequency trading or some analysts knowing this. I think the markets are incredibly fair. I don't think anybody knows anything.
I don't think you find anybody arguing with you there.
Right. Well. So the reason we do a market measure segment like yesterday is just to raise those points. Hey, you know what? If you can at least buy into some part of this, we buy into the whole thing.
Correct.
We buy into the whole thing which doesn't mean that you can't have 3 or 4 or 5 or 6 or 7 consecutive days in one direction, or you can't have 3 or 4 months or whatever it is. That's not what we're saying. But we want you to buy into just the fact that there's a lot of integrity in the pricing that we look at. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of integrity in the theoretical side to this, the conceptual side, and the strategic side.
Right. And then however you get to your assumption, you can at least know that the pricing is right and then capitalize from it there.
Right. But we're not – yeah, it's fine. There's a lot of ways to look at it. We do try to stir the pot.
Right. Just trying to engage you, get you motivated, get you to see how this is. Right.
Ready?
I am, sir.
This one is called Theta-driven exits. Let's put it up here. We've covered the topic before, never quite this way. Let's go over to this. Beautiful. Theta-driven exits. Okay. So interesting concept here. Let's walk everybody through it, Tony. Mm-hmm. We sell premium to capture extrinsic value. Now, again, in a perfect context, this would be when volatility is a little bit higher.
Right.
But since we're getting close to expiration, we thought the timing of this was important. We sell premium to capture extrinsic value. We call it extra insurance premium. Remember, we think something's worth X. The ability to risk 1 to make 10 has a little bit of extra insurance premium. As time passes and the option nears expiration, the extrinsic value shrinks as a result of decay. Understanding the nature of option decay can teach us a valuable lesson on managing winners, hence theta-driven exits. Mm-hmm. Let's go to the next slide. We are always taught that the rate of decay increases as we get closer to expiration. Virtually every option textbook includes a graph similar to the following. There you go. Mm-hmm. Acceleration of decay as we get closer to expiration. That's at the money option decay.
Correct. And what they're showing is the price on the left and the amount of days to the bottom, right?
An acceleration of decay. That's all it is. Let's go to the next slide. But this graph is only accurate for at-the-money options. In fact, out of the money options have a different decay curve that looks like the following. Not exactly the same. Now, you know how we are with respect to decay. Okay. Now, it's like kind of a flip it over. That's essentially what it is. Now, let's take a look. Go to the next slide for a sec. Why the difference? As an options value gets smaller and eventually approaches zero, there's less premium to decay. Thus, decay actually slows. Every time you hear us talk about decay in the past, we've always said decay accelerates as you get faster at expiration. But the problem that with saying that throughout the years is we just get very accustomed to making that generalization. But what we're learning now, and this is why we become so much better at what we do every single day, is as we're learning to articulate and to disseminate all this cool information that we do on the show, what we're realizing is, hey, you know what? We don't even sell in the money options. We don't even sell at the money options. Right. We always sell out of the money options. And we always tell you that you have to manage your winner before expiration. And people have always said throughout this, well, why would you manage your winner before expiration? Because if you just let the option expire. But the truth of it is,
so much faster that week.
It decays faster. The truth of it is that it actually starts to decay slower as it approaches zero, and you're giving up money by not doing something with the capital. We figured this out a long time ago. TP and I were sitting around probably, I want to say almost 10 years ago. 9 or 10 years ago. And we said, let's do something different. Let's shake up the brokerage business. Let's offer customers the ability to buy back short options for a nickel. If you're short an option, you can buy an option for a nickel, or at that time there wasn't anything less, but now it's less than a nickel.
Right.
And not pay any commissions. And people are like, why would you ever do that? You know, other brokerage firms, they bitched me out. And I'm like, listen, first of all, it doesn't matter. You have no say in what I do, number one. And number two, you don't understand the business, because it makes no sense from a risk perspective for somebody to hang on to a worthless option and it doesn't decay. But we were never able to integrate that into our discussion of option trading. We sell out of the money options. When out of the money options get cheap, it is much more effective to manage your winners than to watch the rate of decay actually slow, because they're not worth anything anymore.
Correct.
Okay. So since we only sell options that have some meat on the bone, our initial decay curve looks like the first one. Even though they're out of the money, they're not junk. Right? We
always say we sell junk, right?
But we actually sell stuff at around the 30, 35% chance of being in the money. That's what Al's referring to here as meat on the bone. Our initial decay curve looks like the first one. But if our assumptions play out and our short options stay out of the money, their decay curve eventually slows, as in the second curve.
Correct.
Which is exactly the reason why you manage winners. Let's go to the next slide.
So you got to kind of meld the two together, right?
So our decay curve looks like this. And there's the inflection point. And you can see that inflection point is prior to expiration. And you can see that that inflection point is also another term for managing winners. Cool. This is so cool. And this is going to help so many people. 25,000 people are going to benefit from this today. 35. I don't know how many people listen to the show anymore. We went free this last week, so I'm not sure how many people listening. But it's really interesting, because this is the missing piece to that argument we've been having all along, that discussion we've been having all along. Why would I buy something in earlier? Why would I pay some commission to buy something in? Because it doesn't pay not to. That's why.
That's correct.
Let's go to the next slide. So what does this mean to us? Although very difficult to identify in reality, the point of inflection on the curve is where we begin to look to manage our winners. From that point on, decay slows and our daily return drops. This gets back to that whole discussion, Tony, that we've had almost from day one on Tasty Trade, is to understand the relationship between return on capital, probability of success, number of occurrences, and managing winners.
Put it all
This
together.
is the game changer. This is the differentiator between this network and the rest of the world, financially speaking, in the financial space. Nobody gets this. You can talk to 8 billion people. Go read the Wall Street Journal today. It is filled front to back with garbage. Nothing that helps an individual investor make an investable decision. There's nothing in there that is actionable or investable. I'm sorry. I mean, you could go through every single day.
Wall Street Journal, right? I mean,
you can go through Barron's. Right. Have a party in Barron's today. Okay, go or the Daily Piece. Have a party with any of the networks. There's nothing in there there's no information in there that is investable. This is investable. There's a reason why you create lots of occurrences. There's a reason why you manage winners. There's a reason why you understand at some point why you have to be strategic and where that inflection point is and when that decay slows. It's like any other business. If you own a supermarket, for example, and you buy fresh meat, And you put your meat out. Now,
It's hard to sell a lot of meat if you're putting out the bad meat, but go ahead. Yes.
On day one, we can use milk. It doesn't have to be meat, milk, anything that's perishable, okay? On day one, you put it out there, okay, you get full price. Now, let's say it's good for 5 days. I don't know how long meat's good for. Let's say it's good for 5 days. On day 5, you got to make a decision. Or on day 4.
On day 4, you're putting it out as a special.
On day 4, it's a special. On day 5, it's a deeper special. Because on day 6, it has no value.
Right.
That's all this is. There's some inflection point with respect to putting out fresh food. I don't know what it is. I don't know if it's day 2, day 3, day 4, but on day 4 or 5, it goes on for sale. It's the same thing here. We have to be very careful about managing our portholes.
Correct. But we do make an assumption on the inflection point.
Yeah, we do.
Right, around that week.
Okay, but we needed to validate it. That's what we do here. Okay, let's go to the next one. By monitoring our daily return on capital and our absolute theta trend, we can get some clues as to when decay has slowed. If our theta is shrinking from one day to the next, not including new trades, the opportunity in our current trades is shrinking. Time to manage winners. Let me say this one again. By monitoring our daily return on capital. So, Tony, if your daily return on capital is $10 and tomorrow it's $9, now, you know, at the first, when you start off the month, your daily return on capital is going to be like $4. And I'm going to give you guys I'm going to give
you a curve here. It's $4. It's going to expand.
I'm going to give you a really broad example. You're exactly right. Day 1, $4. Day 2, $5. Day 3, $6. Day 4, $7. Day 5, $8. Day 6, $9. And day 7, $10. Day 8, $9.
Right.
Day 9,
it's $8. Going lower.
So now you see.
Right.
So you've reached your inflection point at $10.
Correct.
You have to make a decision to manage that winner or to manage that trade at that point. That's how simple this is. That's what really good position managers do.
Correct.
Right.
As opposed to going from 53% bonds and 47% stocks.
Whatever it is.
Right.
It doesn't, instead of thinking that you have any clue what you're doing, by monitoring our daily return on capital, our absolute theta trend, we get some clues as to when decay has slowed. If our theta is shrinking from one day to the next, not including new trades, the opportunity in our current trades is shrinking. Time to manage winners. This is awesome stuff. Next slide. The bottom line is that, once again, probability theory and math help us to understand why we look to manage our winners. This is the last slide, Linda?
Yes.
Okay. So probability theory, math. Where do you hear those two words with respect to investing? Probability theory and math?
Never heard it.
Managing winners? Nobody talks about managing winners. Everybody talks about managing losers. Nobody talks about probability theory and math. It's weird, man. I don't understand it.
Correct.
I mean, and we're not like, we're not new.
No.
Do you know what I'm saying? It just doesn't, that shows how half-assed backwards the whole world of investing is. It's all about asset gathering and charging fees. It has nothing to do with understanding the real business.
But that's the business model to that side of the business.
I don't care. I don't care. It should be commoditized by now. It should be commoditized.
Right. The industry's better than that.
Somebody sent me an email the other night, and they said it was from some publication, and it was about high frequency trading. And they were actually showing, they were fascinated by the fact of how many trades can go on in a certain stock in a very short period of time. And they thought, like, this is what's wrong with the markets. It's the exact opposite. It's not what's wrong with the markets. This is what's right with the markets. It starts at commercializing the commoditization of the product. Because in order for you to get people to understand where the real business is, you have to commercialize it first. Because it's not going to happen. The people that make all the money aren't going to change the game. It never works that way. When Tony and I were traders on the floor of the exchange, there was the CBOE, all the business went to CBOE. And there was another exchange that came along that didn't exist before the
year before, right?
Right, before the late 90s, or mid to late 90s. And they came along and said, we're going to make an electronic marketplace, no traders. And everybody laughed. They go,
like you.
The management team at the CBOE, everybody else, they just laughed. They're like, are you kidding me?
You guys will be kid.
No brokerage firm's ever going to use you guys. As soon as their markets were a penny tighter, everybody sent their orders there.
That's correct.
So
doing your due diligence for your customer.
So is the fear of high frequency, is the fear of math, is the fear of probability, is the fear of making your customers smarter? I mean, I'd be damn scared right now if I ran a mutual fund and you turned your investors onto Tasty Trade. I'd be damn scared if I ran one of those old school brokerage firms. Like I'm not picking on anybody in particular, but let's say a Merrill Lynch or Raymond James.
One that's basically an asset gatherer. Here are my
Listen,
mutual
hey,
funds,
you know what?
Kind of thing.
Let's make our customers a hell of a lot smarter, and then let's see if they buy into this thing. Let's see if they're willing to pay you 2 or 3% or 1.5% for something that's completely random. Would you pay somebody? Let me just ask you a question. Would you pay somebody 1% to manage a quick pick for you at the lotto system?
No, but that's exactly what you're doing.
That's exactly right.
That's exactly what you're doing, right? When you buy mute. Yeah.
Well, so there's a lot of reasons to keep the fear machine going. There's a lot of reasons to say, hey, high frequency traders are gonna steal all your money. Hey, these prop traders, they're just gonna, this thing, they're gonna take everything from you.
But you've been taught for 30 years, 40 years, 50 years, whatever it is, that they know something that you don't know about the market, and that's why they're gonna be successful, and that's why you pay them that 1 or 2%.
As the Amazons of the world, changed the consumer mentality. They really did. The Amazon changed consumer
Remember when
mentality.
you first would buy something on the internet? It was like, I don't know if I would do that. It's really risky. They might get your password. They might get your credit card. They might get all of this stuff. You might not get the product. You don't know who you're dealing with. Now it's a major.
The consumer is very different today, and it's all a good thing. Okay, it's all a great thing, and it all benefits the consumer. When it happens in the financial space, it's going to be amazing. And so the message that we're delivering, I don't know if everything that we're saying there's not some controversial piece to it. I don't know if you can't make, there's obviously opposing arguments.
Sure, it's just our opinion.
That's right.
But we believe in it's what we do, though.
But bringing,
we just don't talk about it and then go someplace else. It's not like I say, I'm a vegan, then you find me at a steak joint eating a big steak, right? I mean,
somebody sent me an email the other day.
We eat the vegetables here.
Somebody sent me an email the other day. They said, "Hey Tom, I would believe all this stuff more if you guys use your own money."
We do use our own money.
I know we do.
Oh,
I just thought it was funny because they've never seen anybody. They just turned to the show. Like, it'd be cool if you didn't, because you had paper money up. And they're like,
I show paper money.
I know, but it would be. They said so. It'd be cool if you actually used your own money. I'm like, well, we do. Right. It's all real.
Right.
And they're like, oh, that makes it much better. Anyway, it's 9:00. We've got a ton to do. What's up next, Pat?
We've got Mr. Dave Johnson on the line, so we'll take a quick 90-second break, and we'll be back. You listen to Get Tasty on the Tasty Trade Network.